asshole for not telling my religious family I'm dying? I was diagnosed with an incurable cancer about 4 months ago. I was told I had 4 to 5 months of relatively normal life and then probably a very steep slope down to my demise. I'm at peace and fighting might give me an extra few months but a massive quality of life cost. I chose not to tell anyone apart from my partner, and we got married in secret a month or so ago so that he could have the final say on anything medical for me. I'm not my family's favorite son for religious reasons. However, one of the main reasons that I didn't say anything was my youngest sister was getting married at New Year, and I really didn't want to overshadow her day, and my stepsister was having the first family grandchild at Christmas, and again I didn't want to overshadow that as well. Everything went fine for them and there was no drama. Ian and I were hosted, if a little ungraciously, during the holidays, but he gave up his family celebrations to be with me and attend various baby things and a wedding. Last weekend I was visiting my family trying to build a few bridges before I finally told them, and had a major medical incident and ended up in the hospital. There my mom, who shouldn't have been told, found out I had cancer and that I was married. All hell has broken loose, since not only the fact that I'm dying, that's because I live a sinful life, but that I didn't immediately return home on the diagnosis and throw myself onto my family for forgiveness and for them to care. My sister has accused me of ruining her special year. Her special year, girl, is a wedding. And my other sister saying I didn't give the opportunity of naming their son after me, and general me attitude. The family held a prayer intervention at the hospital where I was preached at by my family members, and hangers-on with my mom taking center stage all the time. So I've traveled home. Ian arranged ambulance to return me to a hospice near my home and friends with palliative care for this period, and I'm basically going no contact. I can't deal with their issues, but according to the exploding phone I have, I'm the asshole. So am I the asshole for leaving my family to deal with this on their own and leaving the limited time I have left my way? Am I the asshole for leaving my friend's wedding when she told me I needed to cover up my psoriasis? I, 24 female, have psoriasis. It's all over my body and presents like vitiligo in a way, just so you can get an image in your head. I have medicated cream that helps with the itchiness, and also it helps with the dryness. The psoriasis is all over my body, with it stopping right on my neck, and I do have a few spots on the sides of my face near my ears. I have always been pretty embarrassed as I cannot kick on enough makeup to truly cover my psoriasis, as it is textured and thick, and on top of that, no matter what I do or however I attempt to apply said makeup, it always looks horrible. My doctor also recommended not to smother the areas with makeup as it tends to make it worse and itchier. Anyways, on to the story. My friend's wedding was on Saturday, and of course I was invited. I bought a dress that would cover my body fairly well, as I really didn't want to draw any attention to myself. The entire week leading up to the wedding, I was continuously testing concealers on the remaining spots that were exposed, which only made me itchy, and I basically scratched my skin raw. With psoriasis, those areas sometimes bleed if I scratch too much, which is what happened. My boyfriend, who was attending the wedding with me, told me I shouldn't worry about it and that it would be better if I stopped trying to cover them, as it was just making it worse. I reluctantly agreed, and we attended the wedding ceremony. It was great. I was extremely happy for my friend and her now husband, but as we were leaving to go to cocktail hour, she pulled me aside and asked if I was going home to cover my psoriasis. I was a little taken aback and explained I couldn't, as the entire week I had been testing concealers and it made it 20 times worse. She told me she didn't care and that this was her wedding and she didn't want her guests asking me questions or feeling queasy during dinner. Wow. My boyfriend stepped in and told her if that was the case we would be leaving and not attending the rest of the wedding. She was pissed off and extremely angry at that choice, and ever since then she's been ranting to our friends about it. Am I the asshole here? I know what I'm thinking, but please leave your comments below. Who's the asshole? I'm sure we can all agree on this one.
Am I in the wrong for not wanting to pretend to be my twin on her wedding day? I, 30 female, have an identical twin sister, and for the purposes of anonymity, I'll call her Jess. Jess and I look so much alike it can be freaky. At one point when we were still infants, they had to draw a little dot on the bottom of one of our feet just so they could keep track of who was who for medical reasons. My mom adored the fact that Jess and I were her cute baby twin girls and treated us as precious dolls who she would frequently dress alike and always make us do things together. At first, I didn't mind at all because, well, it was my normal and I do genuinely love my sister, but when we started getting older and I developed my own interests, I would get so frustrated or upset when I couldn't either do something because Jess didn't want to, or the only way that I could do it is if Jess could come with me and vice versa. It sucked because despite our appearances, Jess was the more extroverted twin who liked to go to parties and do sports, while I was introverted and artistic. I was always made to do what Jess wanted to do because me not wanting to be social was seen as bad, and the only way that Jess would agree to do and endure my hobbies was if I did her homework or chores. When my parents were divorcing, I was over the moon when my dad agreed to let me live with him in another state, and Jess didn't want to move away from all her friends. My mom cried when I had to tell her that I didn't want to live with her and Jess and accused me of hating them. This really wrecked me emotionally, and I almost caved when my dad got me into therapy, who helped me gather the courage to just leave. I never really did shake off the guilt until around senior year of high school, but I never regretted my choice because of how liberating I felt by getting to just be me. I slowly repaired my relationship with my mom and Jess, but Jess and I were never as close as we used to be, and I honestly was fine with that. Fast forward to adulthood, and Jess is engaged to her boyfriend Steve, 36 male, and their wedding is set for this spring. Unfortunately, Jess was recently in a bad accident and her face is going to need some cosmetic surgery. She's been crying on and off for days over this because there's no way she'll be healed up in time for her wedding. My mom, Steve, and I have been trying to console her, but it's not enough. Earlier this week, my mom approached me with the idea of dressing up as Jess and pretending to be her for the ceremony and reception so that the pictures will look nice. I was floored and gave a hesitant no because while I do know that this would mean a lot to my sister, I just feel really uncomfortable about it. My mom was upset with me and said that it wasn't a big deal. It was just for pictures, and asked me if I really wanted to make it so that Jess would have to be reminded of her trauma whenever she had to look at her wedding photos, or just not have any photos at all. So, am I in the wrong for trying to get a colleague to cheer up and smile? I, 60 female, am a supervisor working with 3 colleagues. I normally have 4, but we were short-staffed, so Mandy, 30 female, had to take on extra duties and had less breaks yesterday. We worked 11 hours yesterday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., and stayed in accommodation provided by work. We had an early start today and signed on at 4 in the morning. Mandy was the last to show up, but to be fair, she was still on time and was obviously in a bad mood. She was quiet, didn't speak unless we asked her something, and kept to herself as we were getting ready to depart. I'm a very happy person, even in the morning, and it doesn't take much effort to be happy and smile, so it bothered me that she was so sullen. She said to another colleague that she was tired. I scoffed and said that she's young and has no reason to be tired. When pouring milk for her cereal, she stopped, put the carton out to thaw and said, "It's frozen," with a blank look. I told her it wouldn't hurt her to smile while another colleague said, "Let it go," in the tune of song from Frozen. I thought it would be a nice idea to play the song and have us all sing along to it to try and bring her mood up. I played it, but she was on her phone and using the work app. So just as the chorus came on, I wrapped my arms around her from behind and started dancing and singing the song. She didn't seem very interested, so I upped the dancing and twisted and swayed. She suddenly exclaimed and said, "My back!" And I thought that she was faking pain to get out of dancing, so I scoffed and said, "Oh, that's what everyone says," and kept dancing with her. That's when she snapped and yelled that she actually has a back injury, got out of my arms, and sat outside by herself. She never once mentioned that she had a back injury while working the day before, but apparently she injured it on the job in December and is still in physical therapy for it. And my dancing twisted it and hurt her. I said I was sorry for her back, but I was just trying to make her not be so mopey, because being around someone like that is no fun. She told me that she can't help being quiet in the morning because she isn't a morning person and she was tired and now quite sore. To me, that's not an excuse, and I told her such. Now she's barely spoken to anyone unless it concerns work. Am I in the wrong for just wanting her to cheer up and have some fun?
Am I the asshole for refusing to drive my son's friend because he keeps farting in my car?
Ooh.
The other day I was driving my son, 14 male, and his friends who live by to soccer practice. As I was driving, I heard a loud fart coming from my son's friend, followed by laughter from both of them.
Classic.
Sure. Farts are funny.
14-year-old fart, great.
Apparently, he is doing it at least partly on purpose because they have a dumb farting joke that they think is funny. He even pulled his legs up before he farted to demonstrate that he was doing it on purpose. I told them point blank this was not funny at all, and I asked my son's friend to not do that again in my car.
Maybe if you pull the stick out of your ass, you might fart a time or 3. How about that?
A few minutes later, he farted again and busted out laughing. My son had a smirk on his face, but he was trying to hold back his laughter.
Oh, that makes it so
because
harder.
he knows I asked him not to.
He's so mature.
At this point, I pulled over to the nearest bus stop. We live in Europe, so we have a great public transport system. And I told my son's friend he will have to travel the rest of the distance by bus.
What an asshole! A 14-year-old child?
Later, my son told me that he was embarrassed in front of his friend and thinks I treated him a bit too harshly.
Agreed.
Apparently, the kid was also late for practice, and the coach scolded him for this.
Yeah.
So, am I the asshole here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the asshole for announcing my girlfriend and I's pregnancy in the presence of my brother and his girlfriend who cannot have kids. My girlfriend and I recently had a 12-week scan for our first baby and we could not be more excited. My brother and his girlfriend are slightly older than us and have been trying for a baby for a while now with no success. Ours was totally unplanned. While we were excited to let my family know, we knew it was a touchy subject because of the difficulties my brother and his partner have been having. And we were having conversations on how to break the news. This weekend I got back from my brother's SAG party, an event I made sure to keep the pregnancy a secret. And with it being Mother's Day, we ended it together with my mom's dad house and we're having a meal. Me and my partner decided that all of us together would be a perfect time to let everyone know that we were expecting. Well, it didn't go down as well. My brother's partner was visibly upset, left the room, and burst into tears. My brother, while congratulating everything, was very concerned. Mom and dad were very restrained in how showing their pleasure not to make things worse. The whole thing ended on a slightly poor note, and we all left soon afterward. My partner and I feel so guilty, feel like we shouldn't have said anything. However, my dad disagreed. It was selfish of them and rude to react in that way.